My name is Darshan, and I am I am originally from Finland. At the moment, living in Spain, and I started my Kundalini yoga journey in 2003. Before that, I had been doing already yoga. I had been doing Bikram yoga. I went crazy for Bikram yoga then. And before that, I was doing a little bit of hatha yoga also. And somehow spirituality had been like a very important thing for me since very early on. I think it was at least when I was a teenager that I was already looking for something, and I didn't know what to believe in or what I was looking for, but I knew there was something deeper. I knew that life is not just what we can see with our eyes and what we can touch with our hands, but there's like a deeper aspect of it. And I think when I was a child, I was seeing auras and stuff like that, which is not really important as such, but that there was something like that already from very early on. And then when I came into yoga, I very much wanted to find a solution to, I would say, find a solution to my problems, find a solution to um, emotionally feeling well, find a solution to being in balance, and find a solution to be happy, find a solution to a lot of different things. And I would say that although for years and years and years, I was really kind of healing myself, and I was, healing myself and like um, becoming more and more conscious and getting more and more experiences of the spirit and so on. I still felt, or I still didn't feel like fully I would say peaceful, or so that I could relax fully, so that I could be myself, so that I could just somehow embrace everything as it is. And so around 5 years ago, I had a shift. I had a big shift in consciousness. It first expanded into the realm of the subtle, to the spirit, to the realm of the gurus, the spiritual masters, and so on. So I was having a lot of um, conversations and a lot of guidance through that, and I find like kind of like downloads of something. Um, but and I would say that that was the first moment when I could really feel like, wow, this is what I've been looking for in yoga, and wow, it's beautiful, and I feel so serene and so happy, and but I didn't know much at that point. So then after that expansion, what started happening is that the consciousness started expanding downwards. And now when we're speaking of the feminine consciousness, it's really this movement downwards, deeper into the body, deeper on the earth. It's the movement that takes us into the realm of the earth, the human being, the physical, the individual, and the personal also. Up here we can be very, very impersonal, and we can feel one with everything, and there's not a big distinction between this and that, and the good and the bad, and the male and the female, and so on. But when we are pulled downwards, so when the consciousness is expanding downwards, that's when we're really entering the realm of the human. That's when we're really entering the I would say, the muddy aspect of life, because we can so easily get entangled in it. So, um, what started really through that was a process of like really things flying out of the or exploding out of the subconscious, and like I would say that childhood traumas that I had been working on for years or decades, suddenly I was able to really see them and feel them, and somehow work with them and really become very conscious of those. And therefore, through that consciousness, I was able to also heal those and let go of those. And therefore, that was like, it lasted maybe a couple of years, this kind of very, very strong exploding, and, this like being in a washing machine. And I had evidently experienced it before as well in some way, but it was really max 1000. It was like really, really much more potent, this one, and much more conscious. And then after that, there was 1 year where it was kind of like going deep in the subconscious. It's like deep ocean diving in a way, where you're kind of fixing the very base of your existence, the very base of your conditioning, the very base of the structure of the mind and your emotions and so on. And after that, it has been like more of a smoother ride. But what has remained is that really that consciousness of that feminine consciousness, which means that I cannot even avoid um, like feeling the individual conditioning coming up in situations, if there is a conditioning anymore, or whenever there is a conditioning. Also, um, everything everything that comes to me, everything that happens to me, I can feel it very deeply, which is quite different to how it used to be. I was able to somehow push things aside and push things away, and just like pretend almost that nothing happened, or just kind of like this. But after this expansion into the body, because we're really speaking of embodiment also, um, those things weren't possible anymore. But what what started to be somehow the norm was that I was able to receive more things. I was able to um, somehow embrace more feelings, embrace more situations. I was able to look at my own fear. I was able to look at my own guilt and be somehow fine with it, be loving to it, being accepting to it. And I would say that this is really actually the base of self love, that you're able to look at all aspects of yourself, even the not nice ones, even the unpleasant ones, and be fine with it and be really like, okay, beautiful. This is one part of reality. This is one part of who I am, and this is one part of who we are also. Because it's not um, that this experience that we have in the human body, that even though we're feeling it in a very individual way and we're feeling it in a very personal way, it's not that it's only personal, because nothing is personal. The mind that we're all connected to it's like a universal mind. So our mind is not a separate mind, but it's connected to everybody else's mind, is connected to all the wisdom of the universe, is connected to all the karma of the universe, is connected to all the shadow of the universe, and so on. So it's just really about it's really about realizing or looking at it from the viewpoint that we're all in the same boat. So kind of like everybody's karma is the same, just the package is different, you know. So how we experience our own conditioning, how we experience our karma, how we experience our emotions, there's like an individual flavor to it, but still the essence is the same. And that is the feminine consciousness. So if we define feminine consciousness, it is the force, first of all, it's the force that takes us into the physical body, into the realm of the human, and therefore towards the individual, but it's also the consciousness within that realm. Yeah. So it's really something that allows us to be human beings, allows us to be a woman or a man or something in between, but a person with sexuality, a person with a body, a person with emotions, a person with aspirations, and so on. And all that comes, or I would say that all that becomes alive when there's enough of this feminine consciousness activating. So we are enough in our bodies, we're enough feeling, we're enough sensing, and therefore we are also enough present. Yeah. Do you have any questions at this point? Do you understand what is the feminine consciousness, more or less? Everything crystal clear? Yes? Wonderful. Okay. So, I would say that maybe it helps to make the comparison between feminine consciousness and the masculine consciousness. So, masculine consciousness is about the universal, it's not about the personal, it's the impersonal. It's relating to, you know, the higher chakras, it's relating to the spirit, the unseen, um, the Shiva. So in the Indian tradition, we have two principles. We have Shiva and Shakti, and Shiva is the unmoving consciousness, the unmanifest consciousness, and somehow the presence, which is really like radiating. So you can be in your Shiva consciousness and be super present, super sharp, you know, your third eye is activated, and you're very somehow strongly in that spirit, in that, can't even say spirit, but strongly in consciousness, like then the Shakti is the moving consciousness, the consciousness in motion, the spirit in a way, the energy, the thing that is alive, that animates everything, the one that makes, in a way, makes the world go round. Meaning, you know, all the things that we can see, all the things that we can perceive, and the presence of that is quite different. The presence of that is more really about sensing, feeling. It's more personal. You're feeling very deeply things. So as opposed to this, it's more, yeah. So Shakti, I mean, the concept of Shakti is very wide. The principle is very wide, very vast. But this feminine consciousness is belonging to that realm, anyways. And the thing with the feminine consciousness is that even though it's feminine consciousness, it's not only relating to women, because it's really also it's really about the embodiment process, how we're coming into our physical bodies. And when we come into our physical bodies, we suddenly have a gender. Yeah. If we're in our physical bodies where we have a sexuality in some way. It's a different thing when we're not in our physical bodies very much, then we can be asexual. We don't feel any sexual desire, we don't feel any gender. But as soon as we come into physical body, there is something that brings us to the realm of the sexuality and sexual energy, whatever that is for us. And therefore, it's not only about women, but it's about men as well. And you can think of this also that we're speaking of the realms of the Heavenly Father and the Mother Earth. And as people, as individuals, as souls, when we're incarnating into the human experience, we have an experience of both. And at the realm of the Mother Earth, we are more in our physical body, we are more in our individuality, in our personal, in our human self. And one thing important about the feminine consciousness, I mean, there are many levels to it as well, but one important aspect of it is really the sexual energy, because I would say that in some way the essence of the feminine is enjoyment. The essence of the masculine, we can say many things about it, but one thing is love. And when we are connecting to the different spiritual realms and the masculine principle, there's like this love, this very strong protective love that we can feel. But when we're connecting to the feminine realm, it's kind of wild, it's kind of unpredictable. It's a bit more messier in a way, because if we're on the path of self-realization, let's say, it's a longer route, because we get entangled in different emotions, and we get like personally triggered and so on. So it takes longer. But there's this aspect of the sexual energy which is really giving us also enjoyment in the process. And I don't mean just sexual encounter. I mean that the energy that is circulating within our body is in the human body. When we're fully here, it's also allowing us enjoyment. So you're enjoying your sadness, you're enjoying your guilt, you're enjoying your food, you're enjoying good company, and if we're really precise, also in yoga, this is the energy that we're transforming when we're doing yoga, and we're bringing that up to the higher centers. And so the sexual energy is important, and also at the same time that is very vulnerable in us. And there's something that is very particular in these times that we are living, and that is that it has been for hundreds and actually probably thousands of years that the masculine consciousness has had an upper hand. So somehow the feminine consciousness has been like trodden on, um, stepped on, ignored, diminished, and there hasn't been really much consciousness there at that realm. So, what's now happening when the feminine consciousness is awakening, it's waking up, is that we are becoming more and more sensitive. We're becoming more and more aware of our individuality. And individuality in the sense that um, it relates to our physical body. You know, as soon as we have a physical body, there's a sense of individuality. Whether we are um, holding on to it with our ego or we're not holding on to it with our ego, um, the body nevertheless has its unique way of functioning. So you have foods that suit you and don't suit other people. You know, your the amount of sleep you need is quite individual. Some people can cope with 5 hours, maybe even 4 hours. Others need 9 hours, 10 hours. And also the conditioning, meaning like the places in life where we get stuck, um, emotionally stuck, the situations in which we get stuck are also quite individual. The same stuff, you know, everybody has the same stuff, but in very different packages. So the more towards the manifestation the universe goes, meaning the more gross, the more developed the manifestation is, the more complex it is. Therefore, there's more and more uniqueness in a way. So, what's particular about this time is that there has been a neglect of this realm, of this feminine realm, this feeling realm, and now we're actually starting to awaken to that feminine realm again. And it's not a process which is very smooth because evidently we're all connecting to the same mind, the same universal mind. Therefore, we're all connecting to the subconscious and unconscious realms also. And for hundreds and thousands of years, there has been so much abuse of this realm, meaning abuse of the human, abuse of the emotions, abuse of the individual, abuse of women, you know, and not, I would say, not just women, but mainly women, because we are more like the representation of that consciousness. So there's a lot to heal, and quite a lot of us who are on this path of the feminine spirituality, I would say that we feel not just our pain, our individual pain, but we feel the collective pain as well. So, quite often, you know, when people start being more and more sensitive and they start experiencing different things, they start having emotions that they can't really necessarily explain with anything that has happened with their life, or they start reacting to different situations that don't make necessarily sense to them, but they are connecting to the global, to the universal human conditioning, to the human karma, to the realm of the subconscious, which is collective. And that is something that can be quite an interesting phenomenon, but it's not a scary one, and it's not a super difficult one if we're not afraid of it. If we're not afraid of it, then it's fine. If we're afraid of it, then it's more difficult, because we have to also deal with our fear then. And the way I would say that we normally work with feminine consciousness is really about feeling into things. Yeah, so feeling into both our physical body and our emotions, our energy. Is that, how do things feel to me? Like, I'll give you an example. If I Okay, yeah. So there was I just heard, I think 2 days ago, another sexual scandal in one of the Indian music traditions that I have been studying, and that has been very, very dear to my heart. And already at that point, when I was studying more intense, I mean, now it's been like quite on and off for many years, but already then, when I was studying quite intense, for a few years, I noticed that the gurus were a bit like flirty, and they had their own things, and it took me some time to accept that and just treat them as teachers. Just treat them as my teachers of the music, and not be pulled into you know judging it, or somehow looking at the other aspect as somehow so much that I could not concentrate on the music. But at the same time, I knew that I had to draw the line, and I had to be clear with my intention of showing myself as a student and nothing more. Not get into any personal thing, but just be the student, and really clear boundary there. So now, just a couple of days ago, I heard that there was one Western lady, who started speaking about the sexual abuse that she had witnessed, and apparently she had experienced as well. And so there I had a situation where I had to really deeply feel into myself, and just feel, it's not even that I ask how do I feel, but it's in a way like I'm holding the process for myself. It's almost like a meditation, where you are focused, you're as silent as you can, and you're just allowing the emotions to flow through you as they flow through you. And a very good way is to physically feel, where do I feel that emotion? So let's say, very often they could be felt, in the chest, or in the diaphragm, or in the belly, or something like that. So really feeling that, really being with that, allowing that, giving space to that, but not, at the same time, not getting too deeply pulled into it, not kind of like looking at it from too close, But um, more with the attitude that this is just something passing through me. Although you feel personally touched, um, it's still not something that is a part of you that is uh, permanent. And I would say that here lies the art of facing the feminine consciousness and the art of healing yourself also, is that there is enough identification to recognize that this is somehow um, stuff that I need to deal with, and it is personally touching me. And sometimes you need to even say that this really happened to me, that really this happened to me, and it was very painful. Because the tendency in the yoga is to somehow do a little bit of spiritual bypassing and say, um, like, oh, well, I'm not the emotion, and that's okay. I'm just holding the emotion, but it has nothing to do with me. And therefore, you're not actually really integrating that part of yourself, because emotions and the hurts are parts of you. They're not just a stable part of you. They are something that comes and goes, and they are like moving parts of yourselves, but they still are parts of you. And therefore, we need to be somehow really conscious with how much distance and how much closeness we give um, with the feminine consciousness and the different phenomena that come through it. Because otherwise, we can either get too entangled with something, or we can completely like spiritually bypass it and like, I'm not that, it doesn't touch me, and this is just something that um, is passing through me, and that's it, and but it has nothing to do with me. Yeah. So it's really an art of dealing with this, and an art of um, integrating those parts in yourself. And I think more it becomes more even more pivotal when it is something from our childhood. All of us have um, all of us have either a feeling that we're not enough, or that we're too different from the rest, or somehow that we weren't loved enough, or something like that. And I would say that it really helps when we are aware of this, that every one of us is somehow experiencing that, or somewhere at the bottom of our subconscious there is something like that. And when we are once in a while feeling that, we're feeling that not enough, or we're feeling that we're too different, or that we didn't get our needs met, or that that we're not loved and supported enough, or something like that, then it becomes really an art to deal with the distance and the closeness, and how much we identify with it. Yeah, because it's evidently a belief that we're carrying in us, but how much do we believe in it really, and how much do we allow that to be um, our reality, and how much do we embrace that and really hold the space for that pain and feeling and emotion to come and be experienced so that it can also pass through us. Yeah. Do you have questions at this point? No? Okay. So, the way, I mean, there are several different things that we can do to help in the process of awakening this consciousness, because it's really a key thing um, in the path of yoga. And what's interesting is that I would say that this is somehow an approach to yoga that has not been very much uh, elaborated in the yogic teachings, because there has been this approach through the masculine. You know, if you're looking at some old yogic scriptures, you can see that, or like, you know, Hindu scriptures, you can see that there is this preference on Shiva, and how it says that, you know, Shiva, the pure consciousness, is our true self, is our true identity, and um, all the rest is suffering. You know, there is that kind of message, more or less, in some older scriptures. So it has been somehow the message and the process of yoga has been also like very much, I would say, one-sided. And now what we're doing with the feminine consciousness is that we're actually dealing with our conditioning. So conditioning is um, about really our consciousness being conditioned in a certain way, so that it's not free but it's limited, and there's a pattern that we are somehow repeating and facing and getting stuck in. It's like one of these moments when in life you constantly feel like you hit a wall. You know, in certain situations you hit a wall and you feel that, you know, I can't move from this, you know, I can't go forward, or I can't move, I can only escape, you know, or I can only shout, or I can only hurt myself, or whatever is the compensation that we do there. And therefore I'd say the new approach to yoga is really about embracing more the emotion, embracing more the physical body, um, in the sense that it's, you know, looking at the uniqueness of it, and looking at the uniqueness of our conditioning, looking at the uniqueness of our mind, and how we can help this process is really about um, it's really about bringing the energy from the higher centers through the body down to, you know, all the way down to the pelvis, all the way down to um, the second chakra, the first chakra. I would say the second chakra is a very pivotal thing here, because of the fact that that is so, you know, traumatized, that is so abused. I mean, sexuality has been so abused, misused, so shamed. So there's been a lot of there's just lot of stuff with sexuality at the moment. And whether we have experienced or not, it's there in the subconscious of the world, of the universe. So at least starting to bring, and this is an exercise that we can also do when we're feeling like, okay, I can't still really feel myself too much, is that from the head, very gently starting to bring the hands further down and onto the lower belly, or even you can even put the hands on in the groin. You know, the groin is where the legs meet the body, and doing that over and over again, and really becoming more and more sensitive that way. So that's one thing. Okay, and you can try a couple of times and see how you feel. And this can be something that you can do in different parts of the body, in the sense that, you know, you can do it on the side, you can do it in front, you can do it a little bit at the back as well, whatever you can. Just making yourself more sensitive. And anywhere really where you're touching the skin and you're bringing the energy downwards is helpful. Yeah. And while you're doing it, really sense what's happening. Also, bringing the energy through the arms towards the fingers is one. And then, if you're in a position where it's easy to touch the legs, then bring it through the legs all the way to the toes. Also, so becoming more and more sensitive of the physical body and in the physical body. Yeah. So this is one way, and this is a practice that we can do, um, you know, every night, every morning, or whenever is possible for us. And I would say another great, very, very simple one that helps us to ground is breathing in and out through the mouth without any sound. So, very, very quiet breath. And you bring your tongue at the bottom of the mouth. So, very quiet breath and as slow as is comfortable. Through the mouth all the time. Inhaling, exhaling. Let's do a couple of minutes. And while you're doing this, turn your eyes to look down, but keep your eyes closed. Just keep meditating, keep breathing very gently, very quietly through the mouth. And then always after we're most sensitive, we can also feel more into different situations in ourselves. So whatever we're experiencing in life, a place where we get stuck, a situation where we get stuck, to really feel into it and look at it deeper. It's like bringing a laser focus in it and looking at it and seeing what's underneath, seeing where it comes from, what's the root. And the important thing to know here is that there's nothing wrong or nothing right in any of things that we're experiencing. They just are what they are. Very good. A few seconds more. And then inhale and very shortly hold the breath. And exhale and relax. And now bring the left hand on the heart center. And just feel the hand, how the hand and the heart are touching each other. Feel the warmth between the hand and the heart. And feel the rest of the body as well. Basically, whatever you're feeling, just feel it. And then relax the hand as well. And just feel the physical body and feel whatever you feel. And if you don't feel much, then feel that. If you have some physical pain or if you have some emotion lurking somewhere, just allow it and feel that. The idea here is that we relax ourselves more and more all the time. So even if we're feeling a deep pain physically or emotionally, that we're relaxing into it. Because it's in a way like you're relaxing through it then. And then it can pass through quicker. So instead of somehow going along with that pain or whatever it is that you're feeling, and somehow enhancing it and making it bigger and go round and round, you instead just relax and through that we also become more grounded. We come deeper into our physical body. And then inhale and exhale. Mm. So, do you have any questions about this topic, feminine consciousness and the awakening of the feminine consciousness? Please, if you do, you can write in the chat, and you can open your microphone. Whatever is fine. There's not so many of us that it would be a very messy situation either way. This is crystal clear, everything. Okay. I would say that this is an important part to bring into any spiritual practice, is that we really embrace the humanness, we embrace our sensitivity, we embrace our vulnerability, we embrace our individuality. Yeah, because that is actually where the real alchemy can happen. Through this becoming more and more sensitive to our subconscious, also we start reaching the realm of the shadow as well. And the shadow is, Jung says, it's like a train. So it comes, and when it's at the station, we're aware of it, and then it goes again. When we think, oh, I solved that problem, and then the shadow comes again, it comes to the station again, and we, oh, I'm feeling it again. Then it goes again, and we think we solved it. It's basically this very raw energy, very raw power in us, which is quite nasty at times, and it comes in different ways and forms for us, and how we relate to that, and what is the actual aspect that we are hooked into, in a way, is can be quite individual. But I've looked at my own self, and looked at it like how murderous I am, how angry, how murderous I am, and how somehow ugly that part is. And it's just through that, through this process, that we can start integrating the positive aspects also. You can sense from a person when they have somehow faced their own darkness, and they have come out alive through that, because it gives really a like a great power. Yeah, this is what I would say. Okay, so Reino is saying, since masculine consciousness is emphasized so much in ancient scriptures, is it an option to go straight to pure love? Um, it is an option. It is an option to go straight to pure love, but my sense is that at this time, it's a little bit incomplete, this process, because of the fact that there's a reason why we are in the human realm. There is a reason why we are human beings. We didn't come here to be angels, which would be like the realm of pure love. We came here to deal with the human side. So yes, it's an option, but you are a human for a reason also. And it's rather that it's not so much about um, not love or yes, love or not love. It's more like how we deal with love. Do we go towards love and stay there, or do we bring the love here? You know, and that's the feminine consciousness, is that you are allowing all parts in yourself. You are allowing even the darkness to exist, because that's part of reality. Yeah, and you are bringing love into all that. So that's like the really that manifesting of that love. That's that you're manifesting your destiny. Oh my god, we have a lizard here. Okay, beautiful. I've been keeping hearing the lizard, and now I just saw it go. Yeah. So that we're really bringing the love into all the cells, all the pores. And we can't do that if there's crap on the way, if there's misconceptions, misunderstandings, um, emotions that we haven't fully embraced, if there are parts in ourselves that we'd rather that didn't exist, we can't bring that love into all that. It has to be owned, it has to be integrated, it has to be embraced. And to me, that's liberation, you know? That's really liberation. You can be in the human body and you can live as free as possible, you know? So, but I would say that, Reino, since you asked, I would say that this is probably a little bit more important for women, because of the fact that we are more emotional and we are more feeling nature. So, um, so for that reason, I would say that especially for women, it's super important. This. So total purification leads to total experience of love. Oh, absolutely yes, absolutely yes. Because it's as soon as the consciousness and the matter meet, there is immediate love. And this is like the greatest love story of humanity. It's the Krishna and Radha, really. It's like Krishna being the pure self, the the love in the heart center, and Radha, the his it's not mistress, but his partner, you could say. He had many partners, but one of them was the favorite one was Radha. So um, she's like the physical body's longing and yearning, and that we feel here in the physical body. It's like all of us have somewhere at the background a longing that we want to belong. We want our lover to come. That's why we get so entangled in human relationships, because we're looking for that outside of ourselves, but it's actually within, and it's actually that we are really deeply wanting that we are loving ourselves, and we are like we are really the answer that we're looking for. Yeah. And that's, to me, that's liberation. That's really I mean, that's the path towards liberation. I'm not saying it's the only path. It's the path that seems to be a very important one in this time and age. And that's why so many people are experiencing so many emotional openings and subconscious clearing and so on. Yeah. Any other questions, Reina? It's like, I want to marry myself and love myself through all ups and downs. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. It's beautifully put. Yes. Yes. Any other comments or questions about this? It's not an option. This is the key. I find that if you're serious on a spiritual path, it's um, you can't avoid this. This is this is what I have seen, is that sooner or later you're encountered with your own conditioning, you're encountered with your own subconscious, you're encountered with your own shadow, and you can either go through it or you stop the process, and you still might not be able to stop the process fully. But the only way out is through it. This is the thing. As the feminine consciousness is healed by collective effort, it heals the women and also men on their softer emotional feminine side. Yes, but also their masculine side gets healed, because there's a lot of distortion about that at the moment. You know, there's a lot of violence instead of protection. You know, the masculine energy protects in its essence. It's a very warm, very protective energy. But instead, some men do the opposite. They become the threat. Some who are in their aggressive masculine. So there's a lot of healing there that needs to happen. And my indeed balances the masculine side. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It basically heals the humanness. And I would say that therefore it's about spiritualizing the humanness as well. So it's not anymore about the spirit and the human, and there's a duality, and there's heaven, and there's, a lot of entanglement, a lot of maybe kind of hellish situations, but that you're bringing them together, that there's a unity there, in everything feminine that exists. Well, but okay, so this is a good question, Reina. So is there really a masculine side, since it's the Krishna pure consciousness and everything feminine that exists? Krishna, I would say, is more pure love. Pure consciousness is more Shiva. Um, you know, but the same thing. We have two categories. We have consciousness, which we have been talking about, the feminine consciousness, masculine consciousness, but then there's also masculine energy and feminine energy. So the masculine energy and the feminine energy, they both exist in the realm of the more or less the Shakti, the feminine consciousness. But at the same time, I would say that we can't fully even separate the Shiva and the Shakti. We can't fully separate the masculine consciousness and the feminine consciousness. They always come together, you know, like the way the world is created is the Shiva, the pure consciousness, gives its intention, it gives its impulse for the creation. It's like your thought, you're thinking of something, and then you end up manifesting it. And then the manifestation itself, like the power in the manifestation, is the Shakti, is the feminine. So, you know, when we're speaking of feminine and the masculine, we have to recognize that there's a tiny bit of an artificial pulling apart which is happening there. Because in reality, even in this process that I've been talking about, we need to have that silence within ourselves, or that a tiny bit of empty spaces at least, which is like the Shiva, because otherwise we get entangled into the emotions too much. Otherwise we get identified with them too much. We get identified with our pain, and instead of being able to hold that and somehow embrace that, we just go along with it, and it keeps repeating itself because we are there, like giving fire to it. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, well, before more questions come, if they come, just wanna tell about my offering for this process. Is that through the process that I was explaining at the beginning, when the feminine consciousness awakened in me, I created something that we call Awakened Woman Program, and it's a 4-weekend program, and now for the first time it's online, and we have, for example, so we talk about relaxation, needs, boundaries, subconscious and shadow, the importance of heart center and how there the feminine and the masculine come together, and polarity, relationships and sexuality. So we have 4 weekends, and I'll just post here. There's a special offer for everybody who was in this webinar. So there's a special offer. I'm just posting in the chat the link to it in case you're interested to look at it. We're starting next weekend, and you can get a recording of it as well if you can't take part. And it's either you can do either just a group program, or then there's an option to do also individual coaching with me. But then Reina was saying, but isn't total silence of the mind the end result? Like to feel the whole collective thing takes over. The total silence of the mind you can do in 2 different ways. You can do in the masculine way, which is just like you're apart from yourself, you're apart from the physical body. I mean, you are kind of pulling yourself away from the creation, but then you can also do it in a way that you are going deeper into the physical and you're still silent. Yeah. So there are this kind of the masculine approach and then the feminine approach, but it's a little bit of an artificial pulling apart again here. But do you understand what I mean, Reino? Yes? Yes. Perfect. Any other questions? Like silence in doing and silence in being. Yeah, and even the being. And the doing, they can be through the feminine. It's more like when you're with the physical body, but the masculine approach is really about you having a kundalini experience, and you're like, ooh, it's that Shiva's arrow, that one pointedness, that you're able to perceive the absolute, and that gives you liberation immediately, in a way, you know. But then it's, I would say, then it's like bypassing the human realm, and that's beautiful if it happens to people that way. But to a lot of us, it doesn't happen that way. And indeed, it's very related to the times. I feel now it's the time to really balance the masculine and the feminine, meaning that one pointedness, that subtle realm, and then the human realm, which can be like the mud of existence. But now we're really cleaning the mud. Now we're really embracing that part and bringing love into that as well. Because for so many hundreds and thousands of years, it has been trodden on, it has been neglected, and there's still in humanity quite an arrogance towards this realm. So, what does it mean to feel like I'm totally within myself and then everything comes to me? That you are in yourself, you're present with yourself, and this you can, I would say that this is possibly you can do it both masculine and a feminine way, and then everything comes to me. Well, have you noticed that when you stop, the universe moves, and when you move, the universe stops? Have you seen that? Like in your experience, when you're observing and you are holding yourself silent and you're observing everything, suddenly there's movement everywhere. So, in a way, you could say that this is like everything comes to me. But when your mind starts moving, then it seems that things are stable, that things are not moving when your mind is moving. Yeah, try this, experiment with it. Yes. So thank you. It has been wonderful, wonderful time with you. And yeah, if you have any questions and you're really interested to hear more, you can send us email um, and ask, or you can come to the program also. That's fair. That's welcome to, or women. Sorry, Reina. Yeah, we wanna hold a space for women to feel really safe and secure to open up and really become vulnerable. So therefore, it's only for women, because sometimes we have traumas with the masculine. So yeah, okay. So wonderful. Thank you. I wish you all the best and see you at some point soon. Yeah, I like it that you speak from personal experience. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think it makes it more alive for people now. Okay, so wishing you all the best. Sat Nam, and see you at some point soon.